Now before we talk about Rage 2, I would like to point out that yes, the number 2 in the title implies that this is a sequel. Now you might not know a lot about the first Rage, so allow me to explain. Rage was a lukewarm 7 out of 10 experience that nobody cared about. The end. Okay, maybe I'm a little too harsh. The game was received pretty well across the board, but time has not been its ally. I decided to use the gift of Xbox Game Pass to figure out what all the fuss wasn't about with Rage. After about 5 hours of driving back and forth, constantly being told what to do and shooting the same types of enemies, I can safely say that Rage is the definition of below average. There are some good ideas here, but nothing about this game stands out. Which is shocking when you consider that this is id Software, the creators of the first-person shooter. It's like the game was trying to be a mix of Fallout, Borderlands, and Mad Max. The last one is especially funny because the studio who made the Mad Max video game Avalanche are the co-developers of Rage 2. And id Software now is a completely different beast than what they were in 2011. They got their touch back 3 years ago when they made their Doom reboot, and oh my god, this game is something else. I also really liked Mad Max in spite of its flaws. Obviously it's not as good as Doom, but you know. No doubt Rage 2 was set out to right the wrongs of its predecessor. Now there are big f***ing guns, a plethora of wicked superpowers, we got Andrew WK promoting this bitch, there's no way this game can fail, right? Right? Okay, it's not perfect. I will start off by saying that Rage 2 certainly will not be nominated for any Game of the Year awards or any Shooter of the Year awards. 1, because this game is coming out, and 2, because it is seriously flawed. I should also mention that this game was provided to me in the form of a review code from Bethesda, and I already reviewed it on Nuke the Fridge Gaming last week. If you haven't read or watched that review, just know that I gave it an 8 out of 10. But why would I give it a good score if I just said it's seriously flawed? Well, keep that in mind as I continue to talk about this game. Now then, let's talk about the story in Rage 2. Hold on. Where is it? Oh my god. I could have sworn it was like right here or something. Guys, I'm sorry. I was gonna talk about the story in Rage 2, but I can't find it! Yeah, Rage 2's story is basic as hell and doesn't try to do anything to build upon the world established in the first game. Here you play as someone named Walker, and you can decide to make them a guy or a gal. Whoever you decide not to choose, well, let's just say they knock on death's door. Walker's home of Vineland gets invaded by an evil and tyrannic organization called the Authority, led by General Cross. During this invasion, Walker encounters one of the Rangers, a highly skilled group of fighters equipped with enhanced speed, strength, and cockiness that gets them killed.
Holy s***! It took his whole head off!
Well, that was quite an introduction. Do you really want to put that armor on, Walker? You know what happened to the last guy that wore it. Long story short, General Cross kills your kind of mother, but not quite, and then you set off on a quest for revenge, meeting 3 unique individuals, accepting their tasks, and wow, that was fast. At least there was a final boss this time. Okay, I'll give them credit. The game still indicated when the final mission was about to take place, but rather than just go back and continue doing the side quests, my curiosity got the better of me, and I wanted to see if that really was where the game's story was gonna end. And it only took me about 7 to 8 hours to get to the end with some side quests completed, and I still had 2 more weapons to unlock. Obviously, the developers didn't want this to be a story-heavy game, but I think most of us kind of thought that there was going to be a little more story than what we got. Bottom line, just barely do any of the story missions. Matter of fact, don't even touch them after you've completed the first one for every character. Because each of the 3 key characters give you about 3 story missions to do, and that's it. Rage 1 had a similar problem, where there was less story going on and more people telling you what to do and where to go. Same thing happens here. You just do what people tell you. Maybe this wouldn't have been as huge of a problem if the world and setting were interesting, which is not the case. It is kind of cool to see that plant life is coming back after the asteroid hit the Earth. Oh yeah, an asteroid hit the Earth, I probably should have mentioned that, but the world doesn't feel that immersive. While there may be some pretty cool set pieces, the side quests the map offers you are basic as hell. and this game is like 90% side quests. And when I say side quests, I use that term loosely. These games have side quests. Rage 2 has side activities, including, but not limited, to finding stashes at an abandoned lot, gathering meteor crystals, taking down authority sentries, destroying mutant eggs, overloading pylons, and killing every enemy at a designated outpost. That last one, you're gonna do a lot of that. You find out the location of these tasks by talking to NPCs at trade towns after you listen to their sob stories. Thank God for the skip button. And I don't know why the marketing team for this game tried to claim that driving would be a bigger feature than it actually was. The only time you use vehicles is to get from point A to point B, engage in races with CPUs, and destroy enemy convoys, which I'll admit is pretty fun. Other than that, the role your car plays isn't that important, and you only use it in like 2 or 3 main quests, if that. So the story is underwhelmingly short, and the open world is overwhelmingly repetitive. Right now you're probably asking why I even gave this game an 8 out of 10. It seems like a higher score than it deserves. And to that, I have your answer. The gameplay. Boy, that gameplay. It's so good! If there is one thing id Software gets right every time, it's gameplay. I'm not sure exactly how the development of Rage 2 was handled, but my intuition tells me that Avalanche Studios created the world and driving, and id Software created the gameplay. And story. Let's face it, story isn't really a strong point for either of these developers, so your guess is as good as mine. Basically, you get a bunch of superpowers in the form of nanotrite abilities. You can blast foes with Shatter, suck them up in a zero-gravity vortex, and my personal favorite, Slam.
Woo! Superhero landing! Yeah, that's really hard on your knees.
Combining these powers will result in some wicked combos and fill up your overdrive meter faster. When you go into overdrive, all your guns and abilities become enhanced. Don't know why they didn't just call it Rage Mode though, because it is called Rage. Before I played, I was worried that the nanotrite abilities would be hard to keep track of and make combat not feel as fluid as it is in Doom. Fortunately, the game has been very helpful in familiarizing me with these abilities, so much so that I always looked forward to taking on more thugs and mutants. It certainly helps that you have to unlock them one at a time by finding arcs, and the same goes for weapons. And earlier I mentioned my worries that this game wouldn't have as smooth of combat as Doom, and it kind of doesn't. But that's because it's different from Doom. Obviously. The nanotrite abilities are there to help shake up the combat, and did I mention this game has guns? Kind of isn't an id Software game without them, and each one is dramatically different from one another. While I did stick mostly with the assault rifle and shotgun, there is also the smart rocket launcher, a pistol that sets people on fire, and a grav dart launcher that should be more fun than it actually is, but it never does what the f I tell it to do. Complaints aside, Rage 2 absolutely nails the gameplay portion, which almost makes up for the rest of the game's shortcomings. Does it suck that the story's bad? Yes. Does it suck that the side missions have little variety? Absolutely. But the gameplay is so goddamn fun. And that's what video games should be, right? Fun? Now yes, I did say in my review of Anthem that both that game and Crackdown 3 are fun, but not good. That's because those games have the kind of repetition that make you feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. Hey, it's kind of like the definition of repetitive. However, the battles I've encountered in Rage 2 have all felt vastly different from one another thanks to the unique designs of each enemy outpost and the way the combat is designed. This makes them not feel nearly as repetitive as those other games. It actually makes me want to go back and play the rest of the missions, and that has to count for something. In the end, I still wish the game had a better story, and I wish there was more variety in the side missions. But I have to give id Software and Avalanche Studios credit. The gameplay in Rage 2 is incredible, and it certainly sets a precedent for what the future of the Rage series holds. Assuming there is a future, of course. Theoretically, all you would have to do for Rage 3 is fix the problems of Rage 2, and then you would have a hit on your hands. So yeah. Rage 2, it's not perfect, but it is awesome. But I know what you're really here for. You want to know what happened to that guy at the beginning of this video. Well, let's find out. Oh, damn! He just exploded on impact! How does that happen? Hey, thank you so much for watching this episode here on Ferris Wheel Pro. Be sure to give it a like if you enjoyed it, and if you are new, subscribe and hit that notification bell to know when I upload another video. I'd also like to thank Marvin the Nuke and my awesome mother for supporting me on patreon.com/FerrisWheelPro. In the meantime, I'm Joey Ferris, and I'll see you on the next ride.